And we are back. Welcome back to the Players You Need series. The series where I have a look ahead for the upcoming game week of fantasy football and let you guys know who I think you should be putting in your teams as them last minute substitutions. Then I challenge you guys to beat the best of team where I put together an entire team of all of those players that I think you should be looking at for this week. And then, like I say, challenging you guys to see if your teams can beat it for the upcoming set of matches. Let's not beat around the bush today. Let's just get straight into it because I'm very excited to say that in the Game Week 20 team, I was able to pick up 90 points, which put me in the top 250,000 for the game week. The best score I've had for a relatively long while, to be honest. It's been a rough patch. I've not been quite getting the key decisions right, but we got a fair few right this week. Most of all, Riyad Mahrez picking up 19, starting both games for Manchester City. Obviously, the majority of those points all coming against Tottenham. But 19 points for Riyad Mahrez. He was the team top scorer. We also got very lucky in the fact that not only did Newcastle get the clean sheet, but both Newcastle players we went for in defence were able to get bonus points. And then, of course, Marcus Rashford with 12 from his double. Haaland getting 8 from his double. Kane as captain getting 7, which is better than the usual score that we see for him. And even more luckily, Rico Henry picked up an injury, which meant that he didn't play. And Damari Gray, who I sort of put on the bench sort of as a, if you're not really sure, here's a sort of left field option. He went and got 5 when he came in for Rico Henry. So all in all, a very good week. A total score of 90 for the best of Game Week 20 team. And in terms of the challenge, that meant that we actually had no winners for this week. Not a single person in the SO99 league was able to score 90 or higher. I decided to put the top 3 on the board, as you can see. James Morris, our league leader, getting the highest score in the league this week. And then my own team coming in second place. The comeback is on. We're making our way up the table. But sadly, with the league leader getting 89, we've actually somehow continued to lose ground on the big prize. But have I just included that just so I could show off the fact that my team did really well? Absolutely. But like I say, no winners this week. Hopefully for you guys, we'll see some winners next week as I make the next team. But before we get to my best of Game Week 21 team, let's have a quick recap of the league table where, as you can see, James Morris has, of course, extended his lead at the top of the table by a relatively significant margin. 89, with the next highest from second place being 66 points, meaning that his lead now extends to a whopping 65-point lead. So lots of pressure on the chasing pack, and I've looked at some of these teams and it's a bit dodgy. They're going to have to pull something out the bag if they're going to catch him. It could be the opportunity he's needed to start to run away with this league. But everyone else is kind of nicely bunched up, so it's a shame there's no like Champions League, whatever for this. But the league table is looking kind of good apart from the runaway leader. So hopefully we'll see my team cropping up in the bottom half at some point in the coming weeks as I try and make my way back up the table. But for now, that is the league table. And now let's look ahead to the upcoming game week with the best of 21 Game Week 21 team. And we're going to start with the defence like we always do. And after successfully doubling down on Newcastle's defence last week, this week we're going to triple down on the Newcastle defence. They have the best defensive record in the league. They're up against Crystal Palace, even though it's away from home. Crystal Palace's goal-scoring record, especially since the World Cup, has been absolutely horrendous. The only reason they scored against Manchester United was due to a wonder free kick from Michael Olise. Are they realistically going to get more opportunities against Newcastle? Probably not. So you'd say Newcastle have a very good chance of the clean sheet this week. Hence, going for Pope, Trippier and Burn. And I've not gone for a Newcastle attacker because I think Crystal Palace are relatively good defensively themselves. So I think if you're going to go Newcastle this week, you've got to go defensive and try and get the maximum points from them that way. My final defender might be a slight surprise for you. I've gone for Estupinian away at Leicester. We all know how good Brighton have been playing recently, and we also know how bad Leicester have been playing recently. This is more of a long-term investment. Like I say, this is about a players you need, not necessarily always the best players for this week. But I look at Brighton's fixtures. They've got the likes of Bournemouth and Nottingham Forest coming up in the next few fixtures, and I just think there's an opportunity for Brighton to go on a run of maybe like 3 or 4 clean sheets over the next few games. So expect Estupinian or maybe like Dunk or someone like that to pop up every week for the next few game weeks. But I think that's one to keep an eye on. And you'll also notice on the bench, my backup defender for this week is Trent Alexander-Arnold. He started picking up a couple of assists again over the last few games. It's kind of gone a bit unnoticed because Liverpool have still been conceding. But the way Chelsea have been setting up, we don't really know what sort of team Chelsea are going to put out in today's game. I've just got a little feeling that Liverpool might just get themselves a clean sheet today. And Trent will obviously be involved as often as possible going the other way. So this might be the opportunity for Trent Alexander-Arnold to sort of turn his season around. And speaking of Liverpool, you'll see I've gone for Mo Salah as well. Basically, same reasons. I think Liverpool have a good chance of beating Chelsea today. Their whole sort of squad's in complete disarray. Liverpool are off the back of their win against Wolves. So they've got a little positive turn of the corner. And as always, when Liverpool get the win, inevitably Mo Salah's going to be involved. So going to throw a risk out on him this week. And like I say, we're going for Mo Salah against Chelsea. Next to him, we have one of the best players from the last game week, James Ward-Prowse. Again, this is a player that's more looking at both this week and the next few weeks. Southampton has some relatively nice fixtures coming up. And Nathan Jones has moved Ward-Prowse from a deep-lying midfielder to attacking midfield. So not only are you going to get goals from free kicks and penalties from James Ward-Prowse over the next few weeks, he might be involved in just scoring goals from open play or assists from open play because he's now playing just off the front. So 6.2 million, good point scorer anyway, and now in attacking midfield. I think James Ward-Prowse is a really nice pickup for anyone right now. Next to him, Riyad Mahrez again. Pep Guardiola normally plays the players that are in form. He started against Manchester United, he started against Tottenham, so maybe there is a chance he doesn't start against Wolves, but you'd think off the back of, 2 goals and an assist against Tottenham, you'd expect Mahrez to keep going from that. Next to him, not only, I've tripled down on Newcastle at the start, I'm now doubling down on Manchester United in regards to the fact that if you didn't see yesterday's prediction video, I went for 3-0 Manchester United at Arsenal, and I'm doubling down on that prediction by putting Bruno Fernandes in my fantasy football team. He was the second highest points per game player at the World Cup, behind Mbappe in World Cup fantasy football. And since the World Cup, his points returns have been 6, 6, 9, 10. So Bruno Fernandes is back on fire playing for Manchester United. Like I said yesterday, I have a really good feeling about the game against Arsenal, and I'm sure that will come back to bite me. But inevitably, Bruno is going to be involved if we do end up getting the win at the Emirates. So I'm going for Bruno this week. And again, long term, after we get past Arsenal, Manchester United's fixtures are fantastic. And we even have a double game week next time out, I think it's Leeds and Crystal Palace again. So Bruno Fernandes is a really good one to keep an eye on right now. His price is obviously cheaper than the likes of Son and Salah and De Bruyne, all your other high-end midfielders. So good one to keep an eye on. Potential triple captain coming up for him next week. And of course, I've included Rashford on the bench as always. On to the attack. We've gone for Haaland as captain. I don't think there's really any surprise. I think the majority of you guys will be going Haaland as captain this week at home to Wolves. You'd expect Man City to take this one pretty comfortably, and you'd inevitably expect Haaland to be involved in the goal scoring, so I don't think I need to say too much more about that. What I want to talk about is my 2 other strikers. Now, it would have been very easy for me to go, we'll have Mitrovic against Spurs and we'll have Ivan Toney against Leeds, which I'm sure most of you already have, and obviously I'm not going to say take those players out to put these players in, but this series is as much about players I think you should be looking at as well as here's the outright best options for this week. So I've actually gone for 2 teenagers. I've gone for Gnonto and I've gone for Ferguson, who over the last couple of weeks have really started to impress me. Gnonto at Leeds, it's a shame he's not classed as a midfielder because he's playing out on the left wing, but he's getting involved in a lot of opportunities. He was, in my opinion, wrongfully robbed of an assist in the last fixture Leeds had, where he could have scored some points. And then in the FA Cup, he scored 2 goals as well. So he's getting involved at the key moments, Gnonto. And I just think he's a good pick-up at home to Brentford. I did 3-2 in my predictions yesterday, so a good one to keep an eye on going forward in Gnonto. Obviously, they've just signed Rutter as well, who I think could be another good shout, but I'm not sure if he's going to start the game against Brentford. But you never know, could be worth a gamble. But for me, Gnonto at 5 million is a great shout right now. And next to him, we have another teenager in Ferguson. He is only 4.5 million right now, so literally these two combined aren't even the same price as Haaland. So great options. Obviously, we spoke about Brighton already. They've got a lot of good fixtures coming up. And Ferguson is a young striker who is starting to really make an impact on the team. He's either scored or assisted in his last 3 games. I expect them to beat Leicester. I expect him to be involved one way or another in front of goal. So those are who I'm going for as my strikers this week. Potentially a risk, obviously, like I say, I could have just gone Mitrovic and Tony, but that's very boring. We like to have a bit of fun with this series, so we're going for Nonto and Ferguson. All that is left to say is that if you think that your team is capable of beating my best of game of 21 team, join the SO99 League. Somehow, if you join the league, you also go straight in at the number of points that you've got. So if you think you can come in and stop James Morris winning the league, feel free to do it for that reason as well. But as always, let me know down in the comments what you think of my team, what you're going to be rocking for your team this week. Drop a like if you enjoy this series. I'll see you again very, very soon.